Hello dear YouTuber friends, and I hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to this new video. Now, I was umming and ahhing whether to make this video or not, because I know it's going to cause a lot of controversy and arguments and goodness knows what. But after flying around for a bit more, I thought, yeah, come on Hodgson, do it. Over the past couple of weeks plus, since Flight Sim 2024 has released, the graphics have definitely improved in this sim. The shadowing, the lighting, the graphics generally, pretty much in all areas I'm flying over. For me, they've greatly improved, and I've now come to the point where I'm thinking, this is the better looking simulator. The best looking flight sim, general aviation flight sim for sure, that's out there, even beating Flight Sim 2020. Now listen, let me make it clear, when Flight Sim 2020 released, it's given me the best experiences in the sim. Possibly still my favourite sim overall, Flight Sim 2020. Just because of what it brought to the table, rather. It revolutionised flight simming, especially general aviation flight simming, in a way that no other flight sim had done before. And it brought a whole new load of pilots to flight simming as well, or brought them back. I've seen every variation of flight sim out there, every variant of flight sim out there, since since the sort of dawn of time of computers, basically, because I was alive during those time and I flew the majority of them. And Flight Sim 2020 just amazed most of us, and it holds a special place in my heart, and it always will. But now, since we've had a couple of patches and updates and another patch is incoming, I mean, look at this. Flight Sim 2020 still looks fantastic. I just feel, with the lighting, shadowing and all the effects that Flight Sim 2024 is bringing to the table, it is now the better looking sim, in my opinion. Not by far. I mean, Flight Sim 2020 still looks absolutely spectacular. I'll link a couple of videos that I did, well, at least one video of me flying around London in Flight Sim 2020 just before Flight Sim 2024 released, and that just looks and still looks absolutely amazing. I just feel now Flight Sim 2024 has surpassed it. And you've got things like, you've got those added tree details and goodness knows what, and shadowing, yeah, and like I mentioned, the lighting effects. And this is obviously Barcelona that I'm flying around. I'm going to show you a few areas to complement my arguments on this. And I fully expect your comments down below. And I know there's going to be a lot of controversy about this, and arguments and goodness knows what. Yeah, I just feel in its current state already, and it's being improved upon server side consistently, it seems, Flight Sim 2024. It's just turned out to be the better looking sim. Yeah, let's fly down this part. And that was certainly not always the case. In fact, when Flight Sim 2024 went gold on its first release, essentially, I was thinking, oh, yeah, I actually prefer Flight Sim 2020. And there's still a couple of artifacting. This is one of the city updates. I mean, look, that's not fully rendered in. I'm running on a fast internet. I think on average at the moment, whilst recording this, I'm getting around 300 megabits per second download speed. I can go way up to 600 plus on this internet connection. So I've got a good, steady, meaty internet connection. And, you know, a mid-spec PC. I'll link a video I did about buying my mid-spec PC down below. It's just running a 4060 graphics card, 32GB of RAM, and a Ryzen 5 mid-spec processor as well. So it's not top of the range, but it looks absolutely amazing, I've got to say. I mean, look at that. Flight Sim 2020 did well in this area, Barcelona, of course. Not going to do a comparison video on this, I'm just talking about the graphics now in Flight Sim 2024, how they have advanced already, and what's to come for them, with them. This will improve over time even more. Remember, we're still in an early release window for Flight Sim 2024. And if it's doing this already, I mean, look at it. It's absolutely incredible. It does look the part. It does give your eyes a visual treat without a doubt. Like I said, I'm going to fly in different areas just to give you a comparison. So this is obviously Barcelona, looking grand, beautiful, very majestic, I've got to say. And this does look better than the Flight Sim 2024 version, at least in my eyes. Let me know down below. Shall we move to a different area to complement my argument? Let's do that. Okay, so I'm flying over a different area near the Cliffs of Moher, which are behind me now, I think, over in Ireland. Just picking a random spot just to complement my argument there. This gives a much better visual representation of what I would expect this area to look like than Flight Sim 2024 did, 2020 did rather. I mean, come on, Flight Sim 2020 did look spectacular. When you're flying in open areas and random areas like this, so sort of a countrified areas, you can get a visual treat even in these random areas in Flight Sim 2024. Some of the fields look a little bit lower. It seems like they could do a little bit more work with the representations of the sort of fields and grassy areas in Flight Sim 2024. Now this is all being streamed. I mean, look at that. That's all being streamed in. And again, it's going to depend on your system and bandwidth as well, whether your ISP is throttling somehow your internet connection to Flight Sim 2024. I've got no idea with that. Mine doesn't seem to. I did actually use my mobile phone to stream in data, and yeah, I could see the difference for sure over my GigaCube that I'm using now. That gives me vast download speeds. And I've heard on, certainly from our Discord, and some of my YouTube comments as well, on my videos rather, comments on my videos, that, you know, Series X can perform fantastic for some people, for others not so much. I think there's still, honestly, quite a lot of work to do in Flight Sim 2024, and remember, we're still in the very early sapling ages of this Flight Sim. Imagine, give it a couple more months, this will improve. But it already looks to me like a wonder, a place that I want, a simulator that I want to just dive into to discover new places, to see the facelift on some places for sure. Not every place, and I'll show you an area later which definitely Flight Sim 2020 has the upper hand. Let's fly towards these wind farms over here. I just love this. Yeah, that definitely seems like a new sim, and an exciting sim to go around and discover. Just has the upper edge, you know, with the trees, the fauna and flora, the lighting, the shadowing, and goodness knows what. And again, it's going to depend from system to system. I'm loving this. I'm going to cause huge arguments down below in the comments. Please be kind to each other and polite to each other, people. We all have different opinions on this. And I do want to hear yours, and no doubt I'm going to. Oh boy, am I going to. I'm opening myself up with this video, but you know, I just have to be honest, over the past couple of weeks, it was a buggy, horrible mess when it first released. I wasn't convinced. I was one of those thinking, oh, when I was making videos on it, and setup videos, essentially because people wanted to know setups and were asking me to, and I wanted it to be a success, and I could see the potential. Now it's coming into its fruition. It really is. You've got to give this a bit more time and have a bit more patience with it. But get into it now, and if you have the right connection speeds, if it's performing well for you, my goodness me, it's a wonder to behold. Flight Sim 2024, I've got to say. I mean, look at that. Doesn't that look great? And I've been posting pictures in my Discord. I don't think people were convinced, saying, oh, is he super sampling them or something? No. This is 1080p high settings, so sort of, you know, okay, it's above medium settings, but it's not high-end settings. Look at the way it looks. Look at that. Yeah, some areas here that could do with a little bit of improvement on the hillside there, I've got to say. Otherwise, that looks amazing. And I'm just showing you one of the areas of the sim that, in my opinion, elevates it above Flight Sim 2020. It just looks fantastic. Just looks fantastic. Shall we fly on, my friends, to I just skimmed that. To another area. And okay, over New York. New York. The city's so nice, they named it twice. You can name it thrice in Flight Sim 2024. Now, I did do videos, comparison videos of New York and London in my Flight Sim 2024 playlist, which is linked down below in the description. Now, in these areas, it was very close. I still think Flight Sim 2024 had the edge. And since, you know, since a couple of patches and server-wide maintenance that has been done, and I do believe in a server-wide maintenance, you can come back to the sim from one day to the next, and you may see changes, because they can now change it. Which is one of the advantages of streaming, of course, of their new infrastructure that they have, which I'm in favour of for sure. And that's going to cause a few arguments as well, I can imagine. But then you get that sort of on the fly. So, I mean, look at that. Absolutely stunning. Now, I don't have my frames on, but I'm getting roughly around 50-ish frames with my settings. Over, you know, probably the most dense area. It's definitely one of the most dense areas. It's probably the most dense areas in terms of buildings in the sim. Looking absolutely incredible. I'd still like to see the tin or dem improved over New York, but that just might push it too much. Look at it. Absolutely stunning area. Flight Sim 2020 looked great. It just looked a little bit too simmy in this area. Now, of course, it's still computer graphics we're seeing here. These can still improve over time, no doubt. And I've no doubt they will during the lifespan of Flight Sim 2024. It just takes my breath away when I'm flying over areas like this. And I can see the visual improvements. You know, you got every sort of trick here. Basically being used in these areas. You know, whether that be ray tracing shadows and all the new sorts of stuff they've got in the new lighting system. Look at that. I mean, I can let those pictures speak for itself, but wow. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's down to this sort of Tindem or whatever that could be improved, and I've no doubt will be improved over New York. That just looks, you know, that gives me a much more realistic visualization, and I guess that's what it comes down to. Now, the blurriness still there a little bit, but it definitely seems improved, and it seems to be improving over time. Like I said, I mean, Flight Sim 2020 looks very uniform. You can see everything in, but there's no sort of foreground and sort of near and foreground sort of or further, shall we say. What's the word I'm looking for there? There's no real contrast with sort of close by features and further away features as much as Flight Sim 2024 gives you. I think it really elevates in those areas. And you can definitely see further out as well, as you would expect to see in real life. Of course, we still need to be realistic here. Both Flight Sim 2024 and 2020 are simulators. They are both sims, so you know you're not going to get what you see in real life and what you see in a sim. It's not going to compare, and it won't do for a good number of years yet. I don't know if it ever will, unless you actually showed real film within a sim, which could come in the future. But yeah, I think it just definitely has, or it definitely has the upper hand now. Flight Sim 2024. Although not in all areas. Let me go to one last area. Okay, I'm over Gay Paris. Now this is one area I've not flown in a while. And when I first flew in it, in Flight Sim 2024, I thought, oh, good grief. I was surprised, considering Asobo's heritage. I thought this would look a lot better. I don't know. Coming back to it, it's looking more like Paris should look like now. Have they implemented improvements here? I'm not sure. I mean, I do own the Orbix Paris Landmarks pack. And that's actually something I could copy across because it's in my community folder rather than I bought it externally. So yeah, I've got, you know, Paris in Flight Sim 2020 has a couple of advantages because of that. Well, I don't know, it looks like they have improved. Now, even though my internet's strong, there you go, it's rendering in fine now. It's still just rendering in. So it's a very highly dense city and area once again, so there's going to be some loading. I don't know, I think they've actually gone and improved this area. It didn't look as disastrous as it did when I first tried this in Flight Sim 2024. So maybe that's a good place to conclude and end. From where I started, the graphics definitely seem to have improved over the past couple of weeks plus that Flight Sim 2024 has released, taking it above. That looks better to me than Flight Sim 2020 does on a default Paris loading. So this is without the Orbix Paris Landmarks pack installed. It's looking more like Paris did with Flight Sim 2020, does with Flight Sim 2020. I don't know, people. Yeah, it's looking pretty grand now. Well, listen, I'm going to leave that. I mean, I was getting some very bizarre, huge trees in this. There's still one or two there. Saying that, I can see a massive tree here that perhaps shouldn't be there. Let's just fly over that. Listen, just let me know your own thought. I'm sure you're going to, people. Be courteous and kind to each other. I walked down here many times. That looks very realistic. Be courteous and kind to each other, please, in the comments. I know there's still a lot of frustrations with people, and with Flight Sim 2024, it's still not performing well on your system. I know people are just sticking with Flight Sim 2020, for example. For those of you who are, maybe give Flight Sim 2024 another chance, another go. If it's still not performing right, don't discard it. It's definitely improving over time. You know, I'm not being paid by Asobo to do this. I'm just giving my opinions. Like I said, I was umming and ahhing, look at that, about making this video. Let's get to the financial district. I was umming and ahhing about making this video, thinking, is this just going to anger people more? Is this just going to raise more frustrations? I was just flying, oh, well that could do with a bit of an improvement down there. What is that? Oh, never mind. Could still do with a couple more improvements for sure. Already I can see the improvements, and that's why I wanted to make the video. I am seeing some big improvements in the scenery, making now Flight Sim 2024 my default flight sim. Flight Sim 2020 will always hold that special place in my heart. I've still got it installed on my hard drive. I will still go back to it. The financial district could do with a little bit more work, perhaps. I mean, Paris landmark pack, maybe I should try that. Will improve this area. And there's still a little bit more work to do here at Asobo, I feel. There you go, I'm just finishing. That's a good place to conclude, I think. Still a little bit more work to come. And you will find those improvements and work coming. Listen, let me know your thoughts down below. Give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. That looks good. Subscribe for more. And I'll see you soon.